Hey, this is Chesthighwalls Gaming, and I'm here to talk about Fortnite. More specifically, this is my Outlander class first impressions. The Outlander class is without a doubt the most played class in the game so far. It's easy to see why. The vast majority of the time playing this game will be gathering resources and building forts. Combat feels a bit secondary when it comes to the amount of time spent playing the game. It's actually not uncommon to find myself in a team comprised entirely of Outlanders. The truth of the matter is, after all the gathering and building, you still have to have the damage output to put down the husks in the final minutes of most matches. Outlanders just don't have the damage output compared to soldiers and ninjas to make this an easy task. The Outlander is a very situational class. It's very good at specific things at specific times, depending on which heroes you have and which missions you're about to go on. Some Outlanders are all about finding craftable items throughout the map with the Keen Eye ability. Some of them use dematerializing falcon punches to gather materials quickly, even more quickly if you have them on cooldown reduction. I only had one Outlander hero that was good at combat, only because he had damage boost to pistols, which I actually had the most fun with, because I was lucky enough to have the Founder's Lawbringer revolver, which is an incredibly fun gun to have. I highly recommend it if you can get a hold of one. This class is good to use only when you are low on craftable items or low on building materials. The majority of the time, they suck at combat. All Outlanders suffer from one of the most bizarre ability systems that I've had the displeasure of dealing with in a video game. All Outlanders have to gather what the game calls fragments throughout the map in order to use their main combat abilities. These are finite and you have only a certain amount available at a time. You would think that with such a massive limitation to your combat abilities, these abilities would be beastly and have a tremendous impact on combat, perhaps damage-wise or duration, but you would be horribly wrong. These abilities are bad in both damage and duration. The two combat abilities that you get from the blue fragments is the shock post and the gun-toting teddy bear. The teddy bear is probably the better of the two, and the coolest for that matter. I have yet to find a suitable use for the shock post. It just doesn't do enough damage, only lasts a few seconds, and really only can be at all useful in certain specific situations, like when there are a lot of enemies around you, which should only happen occasionally if you're playing the game right. To make matters worse, these abilities are complete one-offs. You can only use them one time and they're gone. You have to find another fragment, which during the combat stages of a mission is entirely infeasible. When husks are coming at you from every angle, there really isn't an option to leave your post and go find another one, nor would it help in the least with how pathetically weak the abilities are. While I'm fully aware this class is not meant to be a combat juggernaut, it has to be said that because of the importance of combat in the game, every class should bring something to the table that is useful when closing out the mission and protecting the objectives. This just isn't the case for the Outlander. I really have a feeling the Outlander's combat abilities are going to be rebalanced, and if it were up to me, what I would do is make the fragments much more difficult to find. Give a reason for the Outlanders to really check in every nook and cranny for these things. They don't really even need a power increase, just make the durations of them, instead of last seconds, make them last minutes at a time. In order to limit them, just make only a handful of fragments on the map, so that you don't have 4 teddies gunning down everything from the 4 Outlanders that are being played. So putting aside the lackluster combat abilities of the Outlander class, they also have one of my favorite abilities in the entire game, the phase shift. Now this ability is incredibly fun and useful. Not only is this ability useful for traveling distances quickly, which seems to be its primary use, at first glance at least, I've found many uses for this ability. It's incredibly versatile. One of the best uses of the ability is in combat, to put distance between you and enemies who have gotten too close. It's also good at dodging ranged attacks, and even for exploring, in order to jump distances and move around quickly. So how do you use this class? If your intention is to use this class exclusively, which I highly discourage, seeing as the class seems built to be situational, at least currently that is, but you love the class so much that you want to use it at all times, well, it's most effective when you are playing with those who are reliable to communicate with. In the harder missions with a well-balanced group, the Outlander is the one to run out and gather stuff, and come back to base and give it to the Constructor and other classes for them to use. At least theoretically that's the case, as at this time, even Plankerton is easy enough to play without any sort of class structure at work. That is not to say that Plankerton is easy. Plankerton actually feels just right on the difficulty scale. It feels like Plankerton's difficulty should have been Stonewood's difficulty at the start. I'll get more into detail with the difficulty changes that I've experienced in my second impressions video. If you're still trying to play this class without a set group to get the most use out of it, and you want to play it even if you are playing pickup groups in every mission, the best way to use this class is to be the most selfless person in the game. Give tons of stuff to all your teammates. Building materials, crafting materials, guns, traps, etc, etc, etc. You'll find this stuff easy with Kenai, so share the wealth. Promise you will start making friends like crazy. Be the bro that everybody looks for to get all the goodies. Unfortunately, there are mission types that the Outlander is almost completely useless with, and you might have to break your Outlander only habit for these missions. The shield defense missions are pretty anti-Outlander, especially if you are joining somebody else's shield defense. Shield defenses are pretty much right to the point and completely combat oriented. Soldiers and constructors rock these game types. To make matters worse for the Outlanders, fragments aren't always readily available in these missions, so good luck using your big gun-toting teddy bear. Another mission to steer away from Outlanders is the encampment killing missions. These are also almost entirely combat focused, so bringing a ninja or soldier will do much more for the team than bringing an Outlander. And you can't really be a bro and give a bunch of stuff to people, because most always everybody is pushing forward and keeping the combat going. So there's no time to sift through your items and hand them out. The mission type that Outlanders shine on is the radar array missions, where you have to build radar towers. These are very focused on building and gathering and unfocused on combat. So bring an Outlander almost every time, unless you play out constructors on these. The other defend the objectives missions are pretty Outlander friendly, so long as you play them to their strengths. Mainly stay away from enemies. So that's about it for Outlanders. They really need to be rebalanced by Epic, and I have a feeling it's going to be a priority given their general popularity. If any of you have found other uses for them, be sure to put it in the comments so myself and others can learn the class better. My next video should be a second impressions video, followed by the Ninja and Constructor first impressions videos. Hopefully I can get them out pretty quickly, within a week, so thank you all for watching, and as usual, have yourselves a good one.